This is the Vet Alumni Podcast with Tech and Prem.
It's the Vet Alumni Podcast. I'm Tech, he's Prem, and the Phillies are off to a 5-1 start.
I'll take it. I mean, look, you tell me you're going to win 5 or 6 against Washington and Colorado, I'll tell you, well, they should. When you have a pitching staff.
Should have been 6-0, to be honest.
Yeah, really. You should have. You know, you have a pitching staff like this. You have a lineup that really 1 through 9 is very solid. You're getting contributions from guys at the bottom of your lineup like Johan Rojas and Edmundo Sosa filling in beautifully. Really
Sosa is on fire.
Yeah,
he's
you love
on fire.
He's had streaks like this before too.
Yeah, but this is like hottest in baseball.
I love it, man.
Thing.
I love it. You know, it's fun that baseball is back. You know, we have 156 games to go, and we're just getting started, Tech. And the Phils are about to host the Dodgers. It's a great early litmus test for them. Clearly, the best team in baseball, and they should be considered that. Clearly, the favorite to win it all. 8-0 coming into Philly this weekend. But I'll tell you, Tech. I mean, they needed 2 walk-offs to get to 8-0.
I know.
They had a 1-run win. They had a 2-run win over an average team. It's a beatable baseball team. The Phils generally play them pretty tough, too.
That I'll agree with.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I just feel like if they play the Dodgers the way they played these last 6 games, I think they get swept.
Well, you got to score early. You got to score early.
But the Phillies don't.
They're not going to get swept at home with this pitching staff. That's not happening.
They don't.
They could lose 2 or 3.
They don't score on starting pitching. They're back to not hitting a lot with runners in scoring position, and they could go a whole game or stretch of a game not hitting at all.
Well, tonight, you know, going against a guy that they have not seen yet, the Phillies have not yet faced Yamamoto. Nobody in the lineup has any numbers against him, and that actually, in my opinion, that's a benefit to the hitter, in my opinion, because, you know, you're just kind of up there playing baseball.
I forget.
Yamamoto, I forget. No, he's a righty. He's a righty.
All right.
Solid so far. 1-0, 14 strikeouts. 2 starts, though, because remember, they started in Tokyo with 2 games against the Cubs.
That was the biggest nonsense thing I've ever seen.
It's the dumbest thing. I don't like it. But
and then they went back to spring training. That was the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen.
It's really goofy. I understand what they're trying to do with these superstar Japanese personalities that are now on this team.
I get it too, yeah.
But it's dumb. You know, but then you look up and down the lineup for the Dodgers. These are all solid players. These are mostly championship players, although Max Muncy, wow, he has been a 0 for the Dodgers so far. He is having a horrendous start. That's a guy that you really can get with the strikeout. And even Ohtani coming in tonight, you know, he's 7 at-bats versus Luzardo, only a 143 average. Even Ohtani doesn't hit Luzardo. This is a game that could very well come down to a few key plays late. I think that they have the ability to take 2 or 3. They could also lose 2 or 3. So it's a great litmus test early in the season.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I look at guys like Sosa, right? And he's so on fire. They come into that last game at the Rockies. Not that it mattered. I'm just saying he's not in the lineup. Why?
Well, you got to make sure Stott's playing too.
But Stott's not hot at all.
But nobody really has a chance to get hot if it's 5 games in the season and
Marsh,
they're not playing.
Marsh is a total waste. A waste. He's a nothing.
He won't be. No, he's got a jack already. He's already got a home run.
I'm not a fan of Marsh at all. I just think he's a 0 and a total waste of time. And you got, like they asked Rob before the game. I forget who it was. Someone asked him, how come Sosa isn't in the lineup? Okay, so if I'm asking that question, I'm going, Rob, Sosa, not only the hottest on the team, but one of the hottest in all of baseball right now.
Yeah.
I know it's early, but right now, today.
He is.
Why is he not in the lineup? Well, because we're going against righties, and when we have a righty on the mound, we want to try to get Marsh and Stott in rhythm. All right, so let me get this straight. So you're telling me the hottest guy on the team and one of the hottest guys in baseball right now is not going to play because 2 guys who aren't hot, you want to get into a rhythm.
Well, he's already stated that Stott and Marsh are pretty much the everyday guys.
See, but that's an analytic thing. He's going to analytics. I don't think most managers would have sat Sosa after the last couple games he played. I would not have sat him. I don't think a lot of major league managers would have sat him. Rob Thompson is looking at the clipboard and the paper from the analytics team, and he's given an analytics-driven answer. And I'm just like,
it's still April.
I
That's part of it
stand
too. It's still April. You have to
But the
realize
guy is
too that
hot.
he is. But
Why
he
don't you
also
let the hot hand go.
he also could come out and go 0 for 4 any given day too.
But
you know,
that's
like,
okay.
You're not gonna win and lose most of these Phillies as they're built, as they're currently constructed, are not gonna win or lose most games due to if Sosa is or is not playing.
No, I
They're
get
gonna
that.
win or lose most games based on what 1 through 4 does, and that's just the truth. I mean, Schwarber has been wow. Schwarber's off to the best start of his career.
It doesn't
almost.
really matter, and that's another thing too. Which was it Scott Lauber that said that? I completely agree with what he said, and now I get it. It doesn't really matter what the lineup is.
It's
as
1
long
through
as,
4.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
Schwarber hit. It was funny. Schwarber led off, and what did he do? He hit a. He hit like a 3-run home run.
Because you're only leading off one time in a game.
And he hit cleanup and hit a solo shot.
Yeah, because you're only leading off in the first inning.
Right. So
So then if if
he can
Schwarber's
hit
in the
wherever
one
he-
spot,
wherever he is, he hits.
if he's in the one spot and 8 and 9 reach base, that's
Right.
a 3-run shot.
Harper's been decent.
He has. Bryce came out and looks like Bryce Harper always looks. I mean, he's going to be.
He's had some really pathetic they had.
Yeah, the one with the bases loaded.
Oh my! That was the not only.
Oh, I know.
Not only this season.
I see your tweets.
That's one of Bryce Harper's worst at bats as a Philly.
I'm going to fall back on this for the month of April because I do this every year, and it's the truth. It's just the truth. April baseball is almost like you're test driving a car. You know what I mean?
As long as it counts and it's in the record books, I'm paying attention and I'm hypercritical.
Well, hey, they won 5 of their first 6, and now you're hosting
did.
the World Champs. And guess what? The Dodgers got swept at Citizens Bank Park last year, and they still won the World Series.
Hey, listen.
They got swept.
I'm not saying it can't happen just like that.
I just want to see 2 or 3. I don't expect a sweep. The Dodgers could come in and put a 10 spot on Luzardo tonight. They could. They're that good.
They could.
But they could also come in and look like they looked against the Tigers in their big walk-off game. They won that game 8-5, right? But it was 2-2 most of the game, and they looked like a pedestrian lineup against pedestrian Tigers pitching. So, and that's the Dodgers game I really watched. And they came back and had the big Betts had 2 home runs late in the game, and they walk it off, and it's exciting. But they're, a couple pitches away from losing that game, and that's the Dodgers. And that was the Tigers. I know that was a playoff team last year. My point is, these games are so tight, and the Dodgers just don't play well at CBP. In the last 10 years, if you look, the Phils have like something like a .650 win percentage against the Dodgers.
I get it.
Numbers don't lie.
It's a different team.
The
Dodgers team, they bought themselves.
I'm excited if we have this matchup, the first home weekend at the bank, and we got this matchup. That's exciting baseball. See, now
it is.
The excitement for the Major League season is officially back. You can see already that this Phils pitching staff is pretty legit.
Yeah, with the exception of Nola, who right now is at the bottom of my list.
Yeah, he made 2 mistakes with guys on base, and there you go.
I think Wheeler looks like Wheeler. I think Luzardo, I hated that 2-run home run he gave up.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, if a guy's giving up 2 runs and he's going 6 innings, that's a quality start.
Yeah, I'm not mad. He ended up with a good start, a good debut. Which is what I wanted to see. When he gave up that 2-run home run, I was like, God damn it. I mean, it was just, I hated it. If you give up one, like a solo shot, it's not the end of the world. I'm not mad at you. Wheeler did that. Like, I'm not mad at you for doing that.
Right. They're going to make one mistake in a game.
You walked, and walks kill. You walked the guy, and then you gave up. It was like,
as a staff, they have the fewest walks allowed in the major leagues. Right now.
Right now.
And as a lineup, even with all the strikeouts in the opener, they've struck out the fewest times in the league. Even
which
with
is
all
great.
the strikeouts, they got it together. That was like their mulligan. They looked horrible. You could see the shadows played a role too.
Yeah, but
the
the
Nats
thing
struck
that
out a
killed
lot
me,
as well.
The thing that killed me was this is opening day.
Yeah.
And you came out with like lackluster energy, like no fire at all.
But they won the game.
I know. It took them till they got into
right.
the middle relief.
Right.
They needed to get to middle relief,
Yeah.
and that's the thing. Like it just brought me back to
And
last
they're going
year.
to most nights, except for when you're facing aces.
But they did that a lot last year, where it's like struggle against starting pitching. Doesn't even. It could be some loser lefty with a 7 ERA, and Phils can't hit him at all until they get into the bullpen, and then they start it in a 7th inning. It was like they did that a lot last year, and I already see that being a trend that they're continuing this year.
It's early though. But
I know.
I will. To your point though, I'll reinforce your point. You know that this is the first time since 1963, and this is credit Tom McCarthy. First time since 1963 that they have not scored any runs in the first 3 innings of their first 6 games.
And I hate
Isn't that crazy?
But I hate
But
it.
they're 5-1.
I know.
What that tells you is your pitching is superb.
Yeah, and look, after Luzardo, Sanchez looked really good.
Wow,
I mean, he looked
yeah,
great.
he did.
And then unexpectedly, Taijuan Walker looked phenomenal.
No,
a
6
phenomenal
scoreless.
start.
Last year, 2 things were
Arguably,
true.
honestly, the best start so far of any Phillies pitcher this year. Maybe.
Yeah, it's up there because his
It's up
pitch count
there.
was low too.
Sanchez might have had the. I don't know. I give it to Taijuan. right now.
Last
I'll be
year,
honest.
there was almost a guarantee that the Phils would lose. If it was a day game at home on a Thursday, they were probably losing.
With
and if it was
Taijuan.
Taijuan Walker, so if you have Taijuan Walker pitching a day game, that's almost guaranteed to be a loss.
Right.
Guess what? Yesterday, the worst pitcher was Alvarado, and they still won.
I will say this. It was the Rockies. And they are a pathetic team.
It was
oh
the
my
Rockies.
God, they are a pathetic team.
But in their lineup's defense, McMahon is a very good player, just having a rough start. That Goodman kid has got some promise.
Yeah, he hit
and
like a home run in every game
Tovar,
except
the
for
kid
yesterday.
Tovar usually lights us up. And they were pretty quiet. I mean, what did they score? 3 runs in the whole series.
Yeah.
I mean,
I mean, they really didn't.
no way to get your confidence going except for playing the Rockies.
Right. And Strom and Alvarado both, I mean, Strom has been great. Alvarado has been absolutely lights out. Until yesterday, I thought it was a terrible outing, but he
didn't
still
have
got
his,
through it. He didn't have it.
He didn't have his location.
No.
If he doesn't have his location, he's almost like bad Hector Neris.
He kept on like throwing this curve, and like he kept on saying, all right, well, let me try it again. And it was like, no, it's not what you don't have it
Nah,
today.
just throw
your
your
curve ain't
throw
there
your cutter,
today.
throw your cutter and your slider.
Because he
That's all
kept on
needs.
throwing it, and it kept on like hitting before the plate, hitting the dirt.
Yeah.
It's like taking a one hop. I'm
But
like,
again,
dude,
a lot of these guys early in the year are going to try out what they've been working on.
I get it.
They've been working on it all spring. They've been working
and
on
so
it in the
far,
off season.
It was working for him up until yesterday. So
Yeah.
I get it.
Even Strom had to work out of some trouble the other night too.
Yeah, he did.
He did though. I mean, it's
But
good.
he's looked good. I mean,
I'll tell you who's looked really good is Orion Kerkering.
Yeah, at some point,
He's growing up.
Here's my thing with Alvarado. As lights out as he's been, and as much as I like him and think he's been really good this year, I'm uncomfortable with him in the 9th inning. I'm uncomfortable with that. I don't see him as that guy. I don't want him to be that guy, and I think Kerkering needs to eventually become that guy.
He's got the stuff, and Romano.
It's actually Romano, and it drives me nuts. It's Romano.
Romano?
I don't know
'Cause
why.
I think like Romano cheese.
Yeah, like Italian Romano.
Okay,
Like,
he's
in South Philly, Romano's like Smith. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm not impressed though.
I'm not
Actually,
impressed
I have
either.
a
It's a bad contract.
I have a
hate to
cousin
say.
by law through my stepdad, and his last name is Romano.
Yeah, well, Romano or Romano?
I just said Romano because you said that.
Right,
I think it's actually Romano.
Because Jordan Romano said it's Romano. There's Italians all in South Philly that are in an uproar.
Outraged.
They're outraged by this. This is a big thing that's going on in Philadelphia right now.
You know how they did like the Wolf Pack back in the day, and
Yeah.
the different. It could be like Romano's cheeses.
Yeah,
those
but
guys and
if he is Romano and he's out there looking like Lil Dicky, I'm like, who? Like this
Yeah,
guy.
he does look like Dave.
I'm like, yo, man, Dave. I'm like, yo, man, this dude looks silly out there. I'm just not a fan of this guy.
He's been in trouble both times he's been on the mound.
I don't think he's terrible, and I think we'll see him get better.
He strikes me as more of like if you got to bring a reliever in the 6th. Because I'm going 7, 8, 9. I'm going Kerkering, Strom, Alvarado most of the time. But I might go Kerkering, Alvarado, Strom. I think Strom can close. I'd be fine with Strom closing.
I'd be fine with it too. And then when you're up like 6-2, then you see Tanner Banks or Ruiz.
I don't know. I'm not.
I'm not into him either. I think Ruiz is pretty solid. Looked
I
terrible
don't get
the
the
other day.
Tanner Banks thing.
No,
I don't
Joe
get how-
Ross has actually been good.
Ross is.
Ross.
He's got some upside. Ross has some upside.
He came in
but
and looked great the other day.
Tanner Banks, I just think Marlins.
Yeah,
I just think he's like a guy that would be on the Marlins.
Yeah,
or like the Royals.
That's
Didn't
right,
they get a
that's
guy
who he
from the
is.
Royals or Hernandez or whatever? Carlos Hernandez.
Oh, he looked dreadful. He looked
That's
ridiculously
right.
bad.
See, I've watched almost every inning so far, but I missed a few here and there. I think I
Yeah,
missed
well,
his
there was
appearance.
some where I had to actually either watch it on the radio or listen to it on the radio or look at the play-by-play because I was away from the TV.
Yeah, same.
But
Especially on Monday because I got married on Monday, Tech.
You did? You
got
got married already?
I got married on Monday.
Congratulations.
Thank you, my friend.
Yes, sir. He's a married man.
Married man.
Ladies, he's a married man.
Off the market for good. How about it?
How about it?
But they won on Monday.
They won on
And
Monday for you.
I announced it at the dinner table. We had a small ceremony with just a close family,
There
a couple
you
very
go.
close friends. And I tapped a glass and I stood up and I said, I have an announcement to make. The Phillies won their home opener on my wedding day. And the family erupted into a cheer.
Because it's a big deal.
It's a very big deal.
It's a big deal that they won that game. I am mixed right now on Turner and Stott. Look, I know that we're going to see plenty of good from Trey Turner this year. I'm not blind
for sure.
to that. I know it's early.
He
but
heated up the other night at 3 hits.
Yeah, look, he's on and off, and
He is.
I am not like overly like red alert concerned, but I'm putting the thought out there that I am beginning the train of thought of concern for Bryson Stott. And not that Bryson Stott is not going to be bad or not going to be a good player, a decent player, he's going to be bad, but that he's not going to be who I thought he would be.
We got a lot of ball to see.
I know
man.
we do. Look, I know.
He's been hitting the ball hard. A couple times he hit it really hard, but right at fielders.
That's and that to me it counts like Brandon Marsh. I think there was 2 on and 2 out or something like that the other day, and it was like an RBI. Yeah, the guy in scoring position. Like this is a moment, and like he comes in, he hits. He's done nothing but strike out. And he hits the ball, and it's like a line drive to the shortstop, and it's out. And it's like,
I know the play you're talking about.
And I'm like, well, that's not good enough.
Well, they haven't played properly. I mean, that's baseball. You might hit it right to a guy and scald the ball. It happens, man.
I get it, but it's like, dude, Sosa ain't doing that. Sosa's coming in,
But
base
Marsh
hit.
is actually, I think he's hitting like 260 so far, something like that. He's got a bomb.
I'm over Marsh. I'm over him. I'm like, I like what I'm seeing from Rojas. Like the thing about Rojas, is Rojas learned how to bunt.
I've been on the Rojas train since the beginning.
He's bunted multiple times. He's bunted multiple times, and his bunts have netted results.
He got an infield single the other day.
Yeah, right. And it was, and
then the next inning, he had the same situation, and it worked as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because he knows
I like Johan.
now.
I like
he
Johan.
knows how to bunt. Speed kills. He's got that, and his defense is the best. He's the best on defense.
Yeah,
he is. Marsh is always like 10 yards away from a ball that he's not going to be able to. He has to one hop it.
I got news
Rojas
for you.
is on the run.
I got news for you, Zach. Marsh and Rojas, one of them, could be traded this year at the deadline to bolster this team.
I
could see either of them being on the trade block.
I would get rid of Marsh.
Rojas has some upside.
I would have my center field be Justin Crawford every day with Rojas
as the sub.
But
that's why I think that Marsh or Rojas might be on the trading block to bring a pitcher in, like a bullpen arm, because you got Crawford that could be called up.
Yeah, and Crawford is like Marsh and Rojas to me are a platoon. But Crawford is not. Crawford has to be your everyday.
He's a potential
future all-star
superstar.
center fielder,
yeah.
And and I'm so tired of people that I say this and they tweet back at me like, he's a prospect. Prospects are prospects, dude. It's like, no, He's not a prospect.
Some guys can come right in and play.
He's a legacy, okay?
Yeah.
He's a guy who should be in AA now that went straight to AAA because he is that good.
He's got the talent to be there.
And when it was brought up, I heard it, and then Lauber said it, and Lauber even took it a step further and saying it's a fluid situation with Justin Crawford.
Right.
He could be up way sooner than later.
I mean, look, if Marsh just is not good at all, and say by June 17th he's hitting like 212, and
same for Rojas.
with
by
a
the way.
low
Let's
on
say
base.
Rojas is batting 180. It's like, all right,
he's
Crawford.
starting hot though.
Yeah, he's starting hot.
I think he's like 4 for 6 out the chute.
No, he's look. Rojas, I've liked everything I've seen.
He's adjusted his approach.
He knows how to bunt now. That's a big deal for a guy like him. When you have that kind of speed, you gotta know how to bunt. If you don't know how to bunt, I don't know what to tell you.
That's the main tool, and he's going into his 3rd major league season. This is when things are or are not going to start to come together for a lot of players. His 3rd MLB season. We're not talking about minor league ball. We're talking about Rojas has been up for the majority now of the last 2+ seasons, going into his 3rd. And you should start to see some more development like you are. And then once that next level of development could be a little more power from him because, he's not a huge guy, but he's not a little guy either. He's actually deceptively strong.
Right.
And he can definitely develop into something more than he is. And I think they could use that as trade value either with him or Marsh come July.
I think Marsh is out. I think Marsh
It could be.
That
could be. Well, it's going to really
move.
be determined by what they look like on the field between now and then. I mean, that's
true.
That's really going to determine a lot.
Yeah, we have a couple months to go, and before we really.
Oh man, you got a lot of frustrating tweets to put up, dude.
Oh, are you kidding?
There's a lot
I'm
coming.
aggravated every game. Every game I'm aggravated.
Win
or lose.
But they win 5 out of 6.
They won the first game, the opening day they won, and I couldn't have been more aggravated with that win. They won,
I know.
And it was like 7-2. It was like
7-3 at the end, but it was a lot of late runs.
Yeah.
Same with the home opener. It was not. They didn't score nothing until the 7th inning.
I was just so aggravated with their level of play, despite the win and despite the fact, you got $1 billion payroll. You're supposed to hit Manny, Mo, and Jack in the 7th, 8th inning on the Rockies and the Nationals, two teams with bad bullpens. You're supposed to hit those guys.
Absolutely.
But you're not hitting starting pitching, and the one Nationals guy, he was just a regular lefty. He was below average.
Parker, yeah.
And you couldn't hit him at all. You had to wait until you got. It's that is so frustrating.
It was frustrating. But you gotta heat up, man. Look, they could come out tonight and look really good against the best team in the world.
I know, and I'm jumping out the window a little bit, and I'll say, and I know it, and I also know that at this point, this season, it's not every year, but at this particular year around Major League Baseball, it isn't just the Phillies. Around baseball, the pitchers are ahead of the hitters right now.
In April, that's usually the case.
It's usually the case, but it's especially the case right now.
Yeah,
right now, the pitchers are ahead of the hitters. I see it. I get it. And hey, when you
especially if you're a Brave.
Yeah, definitely if you're a Braves. But when you have the bases loaded and your 2, 3, and 4 are coming up, and you have no outs, and they all 3 strike out, yes, the hitters are behind the pitchers.
That was
right
frustrating.
It was the most pathetic thing I've ever seen. It's like,
but they held on and got the W.
Yes, they somehow look
because your favorite phrase, Tech. That's baseball.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? I thought that too. By the way, I thought, well,
you're coming around.
When they maintained the lead and ended up about to, before they actually won the game, they were about to win the game. I thought to myself, it's just that's friggin' baseball, man.
Especially
it's
April.
Just the way it works.
Especially April baseball.
Yeah, I know, but it's so frustrating in the moment because that could be the reason if they lose the game, you can go right back to that. You lost because of that.
Yeah,
it was It was supposed to be at least. I would give them 2 runs. It should have been 4-1.
Well, they could have lost yesterday because if you recall, early on, they had 7 hits in the first 3 innings, didn't score a run.
Right. They couldn't hit with runners in scoring
position. You lose
position.
a lot of games when you do that.
They did another inning. I don't know if it was again another 5th inning where they were in the 5th. Maybe it was the 4th or in the 5th where it was the bases loaded with 1 out.
Yeah, and
they couldn't do anything. I'm like, dude,
I know.
you guys can't keep doing this. This is how bad teams lose.
It is.
You can't. can't do
But
this.
you know my take on this. We talk about it every year we've been doing the show. I'm a 20-game increment guy.
I know.
I chart baseball in 20-game increments. And right now, hey, this one's starting out good. You want to go 13-7 in every 20-game increment. And if you do, you're winning almost 100 games.
It's true.
And that's what they kind of did last year. They averaged like 12-8 every 20-game segment last year.
And I'm not sold that the Braves are done. No team, I know.
I love it.
No team that's ever started 0-7 has ever gone to the playoffs.
Crazy.
And that is crazy. But I don't think the verdict is in on the Braves. I'm not willing to just say, they're done. They're done. No, I think they're...
Nah, you can't.
They're just too good of a team when they're healthy. I just don't want to believe that they've been this bad.
No, it's that whole
and that
hitting
they'll
is
be this
contagious
bad.
thing, and not hitting is also contagious. Look, we
Right.
saw it with the Phillies in the postseason last year.
Exactly.
Not hitting is contagious.
I think the Braves will bounce back. Listen,
Or they'll implode.
or they'll implode,
I mean,
which we can hope for.
We
but
get them soon, too, so we can contribute to this hole they're in.
these next three series are really... it's not just the Dodgers, okay? You
No,
got the
no.
Dodgers, the Braves, and the Cardinals, and the Cardinals are off to a good start.
They
I don't
are, man. I mean, hey, they are.
I don't think they're a great team.
No.
But
they're
off to a good start.
They're always, like, good but not great.
They're trying to change that. You know what I mean? But look, they're not where they need to be right now. But they're at a good start, and they're looking good right now. And it's the next three series, and then it's like the San Francisco Giants, which I'm not too worried about. But
No, the Giants are a good squad, man. I'll tell you what, the NL West, they're 5-1 too. The NL West, by far the best division in baseball.
You got 2 7-0 teams or 2 8-0 teams.
Yeah, San Diego's not going to go quietly. I look at that lineup.
No, the Padres, they were built for it last year, and they kind of fizzled.
Well, they're always going to fizzle in the postseason, but they're going to be great in the regular season. But that's a team, that's a franchise that will never win a World Series. If they were going to win a World Series, then what happened when Tony Gwynn was swinging the bat?
Yeah,
they went to the World Series with him.
Right.
They're like the Detroit Lions
Who
of
was on that team?
baseball.
It was like Andy Bennis on that team. Who was on that team?
Ken Caminiti.
Oh, Ken Caminiti was on there.
Won an MVP, I think, on that team. He was juicing, though.
Oh.
Well, so they say.
Well, that was a great era.
Yeah, Tony Gwynn. I can't remember who else was on that team, but yeah, the Padres, they're like, Hercules in the regular season.
Santiago was on that team, was he?
He was a Giant.
He was a Giant. He was never a Padre?
Maybe he was late in his career, but he won Rookie of the Year back in the 80s.
I remember he was a Giant.
With the Giants.
I wondered if he was also with the Padres.
He might have later in his career.
He might have played for everybody in that division except for the Diamondbacks.
Yeah.
He might have played for the Dodgers.
The era of catchers like Benito Santiago is just gone.
I know it is.
Gary Carter. Who's some other
Pudge.
good ones? Probably best ever, right?
Yeah, one of.
Yogi
has to
Berra,
be one of
Pudge
the best
Rodriguez.
ever.
I mean,
yeah,
man. It's a weird position.
Darren Dalton.
Dutch.
And look, I like JT.
JT, he's heating up a little bit now. He had a really good day yesterday. 3 hits, 2 stolen bases.
I liked his explanation for playing yesterday, where he said, "Listen, I had that day off, and I haven't been able to get in my rhythm.
Got to get rolling, yeah.
So Rob said, you're not going to play. He was like, I got to play. I need to play because I'm not in my rhythm.
He's in a hole. He felt like he was in a hole mentally.
And then he got what was it? 3 hits and a walk, 3 singles and a walk,
and 2 stolen bases.
2 stolen bases.
Yeah. JT. I mean, he's a consummate professional. But these guys are getting older, man. This is this group's last run.
I think this is it for JT. I know. Even if he has a great year, I think this is it for JT. I think now Schwarber, on the other hand, needs to be extended.
Well,
I think he'll get extended.
I think at the very least they should, if they're going to let him hit free agency, you got to quickly extend him like a lucrative 2-year deal at the end of the season.
I think that's where it's headed. I think
2 more years.
I think by mid-season he'll be extended another 2 years.
I sure hope so.
You got to extend Schwarber. In the beginning, just a month and a half ago, I thought, nah, they all got to go. Schwarber, Real Muto. But now I'm like, you know what? You got to extend Schwarber, but Real Muto, even if he has a good year, I don't think I can bring him back.
Honestly, Marchand hasn't had a real chance yet, except for last year when JT was injured for a bit.
Yeah.
I feel like Marchand could be an everyday player at that position.
I think he is a really good player.
Barring injury.
Yeah, that's the thing. Can he stay healthy?
I mean, the guy's a hitter. He's been a hitter at every level his entire career. I mean, he raked in the Venezuelan Summer League.
If he gets hurt again this year, then they're going to have something seriously to think about with JT.
Yeah. Well, you have to. I don't know what the catcher situation looks like in their farm system offhand.
They got one guy. I don't know who. I don't know his name right offhand, but they do have somebody.
Yeah, you need someone at that position that's going to at least hit 250 and pop 15 home runs. You have to have at least those numbers at that position if you want to win a World Series, because that's going to be production that really, really is valuable in the postseason. You can't be a zero there.
And, definitely can't be a zero. But you also have to be really good defensively. You got to be able to throw a guy out.
JT's still top 3 at that.
Yeah, he's still great at that. He can still throw a guy out.
Still top 3. I mean, we really are spoiled as Phillies fans in the sense that, not that, we haven't won a championship with this group, but in the sense that really every position you have almost above average guys or stars.
It's true.
At every spot. I mean, center field's the only iffy one because Kepler was an all-star in the American League. He's a good ball player. Max Kepler is a good baseball player.
I think Kepler looks good, and if he can stay healthy, he gives you unexpected power.
And you know what Cassie's going to give you? Sure, he's going to be streaky, but he's going to hit 25 home runs.
He's already streaky. He'll strike out and have one of the worst at-bats I've ever seen, and then his next at-bat, he gets a single.
Yeah, he's going to hit 25 home runs, 260, and drive in 70 to 90 runs.
He's got a bomb, too, doesn't he? Home run.
Yeah, he does. Yeah. It was a straight bomb to center field,
Kepler's was tremendous. That home run was great.
Yeah.
Almost,
on opening day, first time with the new crowd.
Yeah.
I
love... right now, I love Max Kepler's energy. If he can stay healthy, he gives you this power that, I knew he had that. He just hasn't had it in a couple years. So, if he can get back to, having that power.
Yeah, he had 36 bombs with the Twins a couple years ago.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And so, if we can get that Kepler, then, this could be a dynamic lineup. It's the same guys that do some of the same things, and I'm already, my eyebrow, I'm not like I said, I'm not at orange level alert, but my eyebrows and antennas are up.
Look, if they're playing 500 ball and it's July, then be concerned. But I got a feeling that this team, for the majority of the season, is going to float from between 5 to 10 games above 500 for the majority of the season. And then they could hit that hot streak in August where they kind of put some distance between themselves and whoever's chasing them. And right now, the Marlins are the biggest division competition right now. That's going to change. The Mets are going to heat up. The Mets have a good lineup. They're 3-3, but they're going to heat up. The Braves, they're going to heat up too. They might not make the postseason, though. I don't know, man. That tidbit right there about 0-7 never making a postseason, that's hefty. The baseball has had a lot of teams play a lot of seasons.
Right. These next 3 series, are these all 3-game series, right? Dodgers are.
Yeah, they're all 3-game
Braves
series.
Are 3 games?
I believe so. You got 3 in Atlanta.
You go 5-4, you're in tremendous shape.
Then you come home with a nice 7-game homestand, 4 against the Giants and 3 on the heels of that with Miami. And then you go to New York, Citi Field. And that's a good early season test to get some revenge. Go win 2 of 3 up in New York. Then you go to Chicago. And then home against the Nationals rounds out the month. I mean, really looking at the schedule, they should finish this April with a nice, comfortable record and be in first place. They should be in first place at the end of this month with a good trajectory.
Yeah, I'm just looking at these 3 series in a small sample
but
size.
Truth be told,
and I'm like, hey, they go 5-4, and they're in great shape.
Truth be told, August is going to make or break the Phillies.
I know it will.
You have mostly playoff teams from last year the entire month.
That's the problem.
And I know that Washington is considered not a good team, but they're always pesky late in the year against the Phillies. You got 7 against Washington in August, but then you got 4 against the Braves, 3 with the Mets, 3 with the Rangers, 3 with the Orioles, 3 with the Tigers, 3 with the Mariners. These are good clubs.
It's tough.
And in August, everyone's going to be trying to get position for the playoffs.
And in the last couple of years, the American League, the Phillies, they're not good against those American League teams.
Seattle especially. Seattle embarrassed us last year, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
Yeah, August will make or break this Phillies team. No matter what they do, April, May, June, July, unless they're franchise record wins and they have a cushion with that. August is going to make or break this team. And even September, you got a tough schedule. You're going to have to go to L.A., go to Arizona. You got 4 with the Mets. You have 3 with the Royals, a playoff team. 3 with the Brewers.
Brutal schedule, by the way.
August, September is absolutely brutal. But you finish with 6 at home against the Marlins and the Twins.
Hey, the Marlins ain't nothing to sneeze at right now.
It's the last week of September is a way different story for Miami, bro.
I know it is.
Let's talk about that in September.
I don't want to just throw them under the bus. They're playing well right now.
Our division is just pesky, man.
I know.
NL East is just a pesky group of teams, and it's been that way for so long. Even when we're supposed to demolish the Marlins, they manage to win 2 or 3 sometimes.
That's true.
It's crazy.
That's true.
But that's baseball.
That's baseball. Hey, you know what time it is?
Yes, sir.
It's time for the return of Prem's Picks. But first,
yes, sir.
Brought to you by the Fairless Hills Academy of Music, it's time for VetPhact.
This is a VetPhact.
Well, Tech, April 4th, 1996. This was like the end of that era from the 93 team. You had Dykstra still on the squad, Morandini still on the squad,
Yep.
Dutch, Jim Eisenreich, Ricky Bowe on the squad. Guess what? Benito Santiago was on the 1996 Phillies.
I thought we had him in that era.
And guess what as well, Tech? On this date, April 4th, 1996, the Phils would beat the Rockies, who were just here April this year.
Good timing.
7-4. The Phils would get the win. They would add 2 key insurance runs in the bottom of the 8th. It was a 5-4 game in the bottom of the 8th. They added 2, made it 7-4. And Ricky Bowe gets the save, his second on the early year. Terry Mulholland gets the W.
Yes.
Lenny Dykstra with 2 hits and a ribby. Mickey Morandini with 2 hits.
Morandini.
Ah, the best.
Love him.
Greg Jeffries with a hit and RBI. Kevin Jordan with 2 ribbies.
Wow.
The aforementioned Benito Santiago with an RBI and a run scored. And Kevin Jordan's RBI, one of them, well, actually both of them, was a jack, his first jack of the season. You had Mark Whitten on this team. Todd Zeal was on this team.
This was by the way,
This was a transitionary squad.
This was a very frustrating Phillies team because you got all these names that you knew from other teams, and they came and they were all old and washed up.
Well, they started hot. They won 2 of their first 3. They took 2 or 3 from the Rockies.
Yeah.
Only 16,000 people at the Vet for this one.
I'm telling you, it was a very frustrating
That's like 25% full. But this was a really good Rockies team, man. You had Walt Weiss, he was a very underrated leadoff guy. Ellis Burks, Dante Pichette, Larry Walker, Andres Galarraga, Vinny Castilla, All-Star. This was a good team, but it didn't matter. On paper. Didn't matter. On this day, the Phils would get the win in front of a sparse, empty Vet. You had guys like Russ Springer take the mound in relief of Terry Mulholland.
Wow.
Dave Leeper take the mound in relief of Terry Mulholland. And Mulholland had an average day. I mean, really, by today's terms, not a good day. 5 innings pitched, 4 runs allowed, 8 hits. But it wouldn't matter because the Phils would battle back. They actually led 3-0 early, and then Mulholland gave the game back. It was 4-3, Colorado. Then the Phils went up 5-4. This was one of those up-and-down games. April 4th, 1996, 29 years ago today, 7-4, Phils over the young Colorado Rockies, their 3rd season in the league.
Yeah.
There you have it, Tech.
They were the expansion team.
They were in 93,
Them and the Marlins came in. They had the cool hats
and
at
the
time.
Tampa Bay Devil Rays at the time.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
The Devil Rays. They still wear those throwbacks sometimes.
Yeah, I actually like those.
Yeah, you had one of them hats at some point, didn't you?
I did. I had all 3. Did I have Colorado? Yeah, I had all 3.
I knew. What do you got? 400 hats in your collection now?
Well, you know what? I actually trimmed down. I gave some away.
Oh, well, you did a humanitarian thing.
Yes, I'm down to about, or up to, depending on how you look at it, at about 170. I'm at about 170.
He knows how many hats he has.
Yeah, because I'm constantly counting and figuring out.
You have to keep track of these things.
Yeah, and I constantly have to trim down. If I haven't worn it in 2 years, it's gone.
Question: as a hat aficionado, do you have any device that steams them to get wrinkles out or cleans them, that you can put it in a press almost?
No.
Should something like that be invented?
Yes. See, what happens is once a hat gets to a certain point, it's trash.
I know.
You know what I mean? If it gets a sweat mark in it, you can't get that out. It's gone.
Oh, yeah.
If you in a hot summer day, you wear a black or a red or a royal blue kind of hat fitted, and like you sweat that day and you go home and there's got that white line.
It's never the same.
It's trash.
Never the same.
You now have to get rid of it. You have to throw it away. Or, donate it. Put it in the donation bag with all the rest of the clothes that you don't wear anymore.
And there's people somewhere, everywhere, that will go to that thrift store and they will happily put that hat on. With your old crusty sweater.
Well, you never know. That somebody will do it.
One man's trash is another man's treasure.
Absolutely. And with that said, let's go to Prem's Picks.
It's time for Prem's Picks.
These games are a blowout, a human lock. You can bet your children's unborn children on these games.
Prem's MLB Picks. It's back.
We're back, man. This is it.
2025.
5-month stretch of baseball picks until week 1 of the NFL season.
Correct.
Almost 5 months exactly.
Yeah.
Until opening day for the NFL season.
Which is just unbearable.
It's funny how I somehow bring it back to football.
Yeah, well, I miss it every day.
Me too. Doesn't matter, because right now and for the foreseeable future, every single week I will be giving you 3 absolute MLB Moneyline Locks. Here's your first one, Tech. The White Sox travel to Detroit for an interdivisional AL Central matchup against the Detroit Tigers. Tigers have started 2-4. Not what you want as a playoff team coming off of a playoff appearance that was unexpected.
Right.
And really, they were close to making it to the World Series, the Tigers.
Yeah.
They got their ace on the mound, Jack Flaherty, at home. They're 2-4. They need a win. The White Sox are 2-4 as well, as expected. They got this guy on the mound that really doesn't even have a history. He's 24 years old, Jonathan Cannon. Well, actually, he was 5-10 last year, my mistake. Nevertheless, give me the Tigers at home in Detroit to get the win. I just think that Flaherty is going to shut down this average or below average White Sox lineup. And some of these guys have good numbers already against this Cannon kid coming in for the White Sox. Give me the Tigers at home, money line.
Lock.
It's a 110 first pitch here shortly, Tech, in a couple hours. Next, Tech, you got the Cardinals. We talked about the Cardinals being a team that maybe is overachieving a little bit so far. Maybe they are better than we've seen them recently.
Yeah, maybe.
But they're traveling to Fenway to play the 3-4 Red Sox, who are trying to get to 500 at home. It's a 210 first pitch with Walker Buehler on the mound, World Series champion Walker Buehler, who fled the Los Angeles Dodgers to play for the legendary franchise, the Boston Red Sox.
Who are always trying to get back to 500, by the way.
It seems that way, doesn't it? You know, the Cardinals come in with Eric Fetty on the mound, 32 years old. Not a bad pitcher, has a very, very impressive career, actually, given the circumstances of not being expected to have a good career. But, you know, last year, 9-9 with a 3.3 ERA. His first start of this year, very good. 6 innings pitched, got the win. Doesn't matter. I think that the Red Sox are going to do enough to get the win at Fenway in front of the home crowd and get back to 500 in Boston. Lock. This is a fun one. So I'm going with 2 of the worst teams in baseball on this last pick. The Athletics travel to Colorado to play the Rockies, who we just saw for a 3-game set, and they got swept out of Citizens Bank Park. The Philadelphia A's, Tech. The old Philly A's. Then Kansas City. Then Oakland. Now where are they at? Las Vegas now? Bring them back to Philly, Tech. Yeah. Let's have another 2-team city.
Why can't we?
I would love to see the A's come back to Philly. They've always been my second team just because I'm a homer. And on this day, in Colorado, a 4:10 first pitch, I like the A's to go out there and get the W. I think that they have what it takes. You got Osvaldo Bido on the mound, one of their better pitchers, actually. Went 5 innings in his first game this year, got the win with 4 strikeouts, a 1.8 ERA. He was 5-3 last year. He's 29 years old, but I still think he's going to do enough to shut down this Rockies team. Kind of reminds me of Taijuan Walker a little bit, to be honest, and we saw what he just did to Colorado. On the flip side, for the Rockies, you got Ryan Feltner on the mound. Ho-hum, average pitcher at best. He did throw 160 innings last year with 138 Ks, but I like the Athletics to go in there and get the win at Coors Field just for Philadelphia nostalgia, Tech.
There it is. Lock.
So to recap, Tech, we got the Tigers handling business at home against division rival Chicago.
Lock.
The Red Sox climbing back to 500 behind the arm of World Series champion Walker Buehler as they host St. Louis.
Lock.
And the Las Vegas A's, the soon-to-be Las Vegas A's, because they're playing at like a minor league stadium this season.
Oh, where are they? Bakersfield? Where
I
the
guess
hell
this
are
is
they?
technically their last season. They're just, when you look on the Phillies schedule when they play the Athletics, it just says ATH. It doesn't say the city.
Right.
It says AF on the
Right.
schedule. And I took a double take at that, like, who is that? Then I realized they don't even really have a home city this year.
No.
So they are the honorary Philadelphia A's again. And they're going to get the W at Coors Field today.
Lock.
This has been the first edition of 2025 Prem's MLB Picks.
And with that, hopefully the Phils will have a pretty good series with the Dodgers.
2 or 3. Just give me 2 or 3.
Go Phils. We will see you next week.
Vet Alumni.